Will TSM's dark past in CSGO affect its future in Valorant?
I think that's definitely a possibility.
How do we start this thing? Should we come up with a way to start it every week? You're listening to the TSM Talk with Ryan and Dave. Nope, I hate that. Hold on, my girlfriend's calling me. Humble brag to the audience, I have a girlfriend. Not now, babe, I'm podcasting. And she broke up with me, so we might as well get on with the show. You're listening to the TSM Talk, a fan cast about TSM. Today we're talking about TSM's performance in the Valorant tournament, the conclusion of Stage 1 for Rainbow Six Siege, and some TSM CSGO history. My name's Ryan, I'm here with my co-host Dave. Let's jump into the news. Dave, what do you got?
So last week, the Rainbow Six Siege team wrapped up their Stage 1 of the 2021 season series or mini tournament. They lost to Disrupt 5-7, and they beat Dark Zero 7-4. This made sure they finished 5th overall and netted 225 championship points or Siege Invitational points. I'm not really sure the official name for them.
Is that a lot?
Compared to the first place 5-10, I don't think so. So hopefully they can get those points back in the upcoming stages. Up next, we have the female Valorant team. They're currently in a tournament as we're recording this. They're in the TheTSMTalk Sakura Cup.
Good luck, ladies.
Yes, good luck. Currently, they're crushing it, though. They are 4-0 in their group stage.
There's no way we can cast or curse them from here, right?
Oh, no chance. I'm sure they're definitely winning their playoff game that started, 20 minutes ago as we're recording this.
I bet it's a 13-0 by the time you guys are hearing this.
Yeah. I mean, they seem to be handling it pretty well. We'll have to look more at kind of their strength of these teams that they played.
Yeah.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. They beat teams called Serenity, Lockdown, Kunai, and Vegas Power Puffs.
Oh, those are some good names, though.
Scary I know, we are definitely losing the name department. TSM Female, we need to come up with kind of a custom name there.
Yeah, saying TSM Female makes me feel like a neckbeard. Right? I mean, come on, guys.
TSM Apex team participated in the Esports Arena Weekly Tournament. They got first place this week, and their first place overall. There are, I believe, 5 more of these weekly tournaments. I don't believe this is an official EA tournament. I think this is just like a weekly kind of prize pool tournament type deal.
This is just some guy.
They seem to be stomping. I mean, I know the TSM Apex team is very, very good, so I'm sure they'll handle tournaments like this pretty easily. But so far, they are first overall, and again, they got first this week.
All right, but before we get into the big stuff, we have some housekeeping to do, some podcast housekeeping to do. Our man last week from Gen.G, hyunh, Wardell's counterpart, unfortunately, our man hyunh last week was removed from Gen.G's starting lineup. And, when we started this podcast, we never wanted anybody to lose their job over it. So we wanted to apologize to him for being the only cause, the only reason that he lost his job. So sorry, hyunh. If you're looking to get into podcasting, I am desperately trying to replace Dave.
Yeah, we know Gen.G's Valorant team manager is a big fan of this podcast, so he originally was like, you know what, I like the team how we are, tough loss, but then he heard Ryan win the MVP for TSM. He's like, you know what?
You're out of there, Mr. hyunh.
Yeah, we're moving on.
All right, and the other bit of housekeeping that we have to do is, so right now we're calling the podcast the TSM Talk. It has come to our attention that there is a similar podcast that has 33 episodes. As you may know, we're only on episode 2, called Talking TSM. It's a very similar name, and we don't want to step on that guy's toes. So we're going to change the name of our podcast. We're not sure to what yet, but Dave, I have a couple ideas that I wanted to run by you real quick.
Okay, let's hear them.
First off, simple. I just wanted to keep it simple so everybody knows what it is. Talking TSM 2, like we're the sequel to the other podcast. That way people know what we're all about. Just keep it.
Yeah, I mean the sequel usually sells better. It might be lower in quality for sure, but
no doubt.
Now that people are vested in the TSM Talking TSM franchise, they'll go see the sequel.
Absolutely. I mean, it's sort of like when they make a Kong versus Godzilla movie. You get both fans of Kong and fans of Godzilla. All the freaks come out.
Exactly.
My second idea is Talking TSM the same name as his podcast, but in all caps, like Wardell. So you have to like sort of shout it, like talking TSM.
Yeah, whenever anyone says their name quietly, then they're talking about the other guy. What about just discussing TSM? There's definitely no conclusion there.
Like Greek philosophers, like Aristotle would come on discussing TSM, debating TSM. All right, I got another idea, which is a little more straightforward. It's called the TSM Podcast with Dave and Big Dick Rick. But the problem is, I'd have to change my name to Rick.
Yeah, I think the problem is you probably don't meet the requirements for that role.
Well,
or that title, I guess. So I would need to find a new co-host.
You get Win. I'm sure he's packing.
Yeah, I guess he's available.
My last idea was the TSM Podcast with Dave and Johnny Longschlong, but similar problem.
Yeah, actually the exact same problem. So,
all right, let's get serious though. You ready to talk about the big stuff?
I guess so. As ready as I'll ever be, because if you're a TSM fan, you know that this big stuff is not the happiest of stuff.
We took a beating, folks. It was not good.
You know, TSM played in that big Challengers tournament, and this is the tournament that qualifies you for a tournament that qualifies you for the big tournament. Falling out of this tournament is tough for a TSM fan because we didn't even get to the big stage. So it's similar to Rainbow Six Siege, those points I was telling you about.
Which I totally understood.
Yeah, I love points-based.
Yeah, you know what I really like when I'm playing video games is to do math.
Yeah, exactly. So whoever wins or places highly in these Masters, I think even if you just make it to this Masters, you get some points towards the next big tournament that happens at the end of the year after all 3 Masters have been played. And that is called, I believe, Champions. TSM played in Challengers 2, which is the last Challengers before the big major or Masters.
Your last chance to get in.
Exactly. And they had a very poor showing, I thought. A lot of people say that this was the best TSM looked in these Challengers things, which is probably true. But if this is the best showing of TSM going 1-2 and taking one of the fastest exits out,
then there's definitely some problems.
Yeah, so their record was, for this tournament, was 1-2. Obviously, this is starting after that Gen.G game. That Gen.G game, winning that, put them in this kind of bracket kind of format with the bigger teams. After they beat Gen.G, that's what I'm counting Challengers as, this last chunk of the bracket. So they played Immortals, lost. They beat Built by Gamers in the losers bracket.
Who originally, Built by Gamers, beat Sentinels, the number 1 team, to make it into the tournament.
Yeah, in the kind of Challengers 1, whatever, the last kind of bracket before Masters. So like last week or a couple weeks ago, they beat Sentinels in there.
See, once you beat Sentinels, you should be allowed to change your name. Get it like Bodied by Gamers.
Yeah. Everyone kind of was like, are these guys legit? I mean, beating Sentinels is no joke. So, you know, I figured
they lost to TSM, so they lost all their street cred.
Yeah. Seriously, though, I'm sure it really reduced their street cred losing to TSM that got kind of slapped up by Immortals and then slapped up by Andbox. So we lost to Andbox right after, and then now we're out, and now we have a vacation.
Lost, I would say, in convincing fashion. I mean, we almost got 13-0. We were 2 rounds away from getting 13-0'd. 1 bad pistol round away from getting 13-0'd. Who the hell is Andbox anyway, right?
Yeah, we should be able to take them down. They're a team that's kind of in the same spot as I feel like TSM's in, where we're kind of looking at the top tier teams, trying to squeak our way in there. So I'm like, we need to be able to beat these guys. And then they kind of just crushed us.
Yeah. I mean,
pretty humiliating.
I'm curious, like Team Solo Mid, I know the history. Because I'm like a TSM fan, I know it's about it's a reference to League of Legends. What in the world is an Andbox?
Yeah, Andbox is like kind of a new org that kind of came out of nowhere.
Is it a subscription service? Every month they send a bunch of crap to your door?
I literally think Andbox is just the name of the esports organization. I don't know why it's called Andbox. Yeah, so we made some predictions about Immortals. I thought they were going to 2-0 Immortals. I think you predicted a 2-1.
I predicted a 2-1. I was trying to be optimistic. I was prepared for this outcome. I was not prepared for the Andbox outcome, but I was prepared to lose to Immortals.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't that far off of the reality of what happened. They were relatively close games, and I was happy with how TSM played in them. I mean, I wish they had won, obviously, but I actually, last week I went on about how I don't think Wardell is great for the team. But he looked pretty solid here. He didn't seem like the star player that I want him to be, but he certainly was. I can't say he was the reason they lost.
Yeah, between him and Drone, it felt like they were definitely a thorn in Immortals' side. And I think Immortals is a very, very good team. I consider them kind of a top-tier team at times. So they did look good. I think they started out that series really good. They did lose the first map, but they won like the first 5 or 6 rounds or something. But yeah, then they won, and then they lost the last map. But it was very close, the map that they lost at the end.
Yeah, it was almost overtime, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. So after the Immortals game, I wasn't too upset, and I don't think you were either. We have some hope.
No, I certainly wasn't crying. I did not go right angrily in my diary. After the Andbox match, I had to turn on the shower to hide my tears.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a super disappointing way to end a tournament. And again, it did feel like this was the best TSM did look, but like the best that TSM looked is falling out of the tournament. But being a TSM fan on this tournament means that you now have time to learn stuff about teams that you don't care about because we left so early. I'm like, I guess I'll watch some Valorant of teams that I'm not super interested in. That this tournament ended up in the finals, Cloud9 Blue for Sentinels. As a TSM fan, I'm not a big Cloud9 fan. Yeah, that was a little bit painful for them to kind of end up in the finals. But at the end, I was actually rooting for them. Now,
why were you rooting for Cloud9? As a TSM fan, I have to put you on trial here. Under what circumstances is it okay to root for Cloud9?
There's one reason, and it's TenZ. I think what he did definitely rubbed me the wrong way.
TenZ the betrayer.
Yeah. Seeing your, at the time, superstar player kind of just be like, yeah, this team's a dead end, so I'm just going to, like, stream. And instead of, like, even get traded for any value or anything because he's in a 3-year contract. And then all of a sudden a spot opens up on the top team. And he's like, well, I guess I'll go play for them and collect some free tournament wins and get all the glory.
I got to say, I understand TenZ's move entirely because first of all, who wants to play for Cloud9? Am I right? Cloud9, please sponsor the podcast. It's not unreasonable for these guys to want to win. Like, that's why you get into this. Well, that's why you get so good at this silly little game, is because you like winning. If you can get paid to win rather than get paid to lose, why wouldn't you get paid to win?
There is I guess a selfish element, right? You're just trying to build up your own legacy. You kind of have to be somewhat selfish and get your reps in. But if you're a Cloud9 fan, Cloud9 scouted this guy. They signed him to a big deal, 3-year contract. He's supposed to represent you guys. That's what being part of a team is about. They have him locked up. And then all of a sudden, they're the nice guys. They're the nice guys in this. And they're like, you can use our superstar, I guess. He won't play for us because he's kind of throwing a fit a little bit. But here you go win with him, I guess. Well, we try to catch up and do all this hard work to get back to competitive team.
Well, we're assuming a lot of stuff that we don't know, right? Like, there's a chance that TenZ knew he was going to get benched, right? Which is a bad look for any legacy. I will say, notably, Cloud9 has made it to the finals against TenZ. Without TenZ. Yeah. Was TenZ the problem? Like I was saying last week, was Wardell the problem? Was TenZ the problem? Is it these carry duelists that suck up all the resources and play a certain style that actually hurts their team, even though they're putting in quotes, these carry performances?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just don't feel bad for Cloud9 fans in the same way that you do, because they're in the finals, and I'm sitting at home as a TSM fan. Picking my nose here.
Yeah, TSM, way to go. Way to make me use my time to now learn about Cloud9 drama. Some people do thrive on a change of environment or, change of teams. It just felt so soon. I'm sure Cloud9, they would put some effort to build a team around him. But it seemed like he's like, this is hard. It's not working out. I'm going to step down until the dust clears a bit. And then an opportunity showed up, and now he gets to prove his worth even more with a title team. I mean, somewhat of a sports reference. I'm going to try not to do too many sports references, but there are players.
Yeah, we know you guys are nerds.
Think about like Kevin Durant, right? He got like, a lot of people don't like him for several other reasons, but also because when he left,
mostly it's because he plays for Cloud9.
He left to go to Golden State Warriors, who were like, a super team, to make it even more of a super team to get wins. There's people that are like, well, you got to chase, the championship for yourself. But this to me feels like even worse of a move. This is like, you didn't even leave your team. you're still contracted with that team, and you're like, I'm not going to play. And then luckily the best team happened to have an incident where they have a spot and they're like, I guess I'll play. He's like the all-time quarterback in a pickup like football game in the backyard or something. You just plays up both teams throwing the ball. But for one team, he doesn't really try. So yeah, it definitely didn't rub me the right way. So it forced me to kind of root for Cloud9 just to be like, I hope you beat him. And I hope you show that you guys figured it out and got better without.
But you didn't need him.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
that'll shake TSM awake.
Unfortunately, Sentinels are too damn good. And it didn't work out. They got 3-0'd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what can you do, right? Everybody on that team is so good. They look so good together. I think it's a big achievement to even get into a series against them. To beat Titans like Andbox.
Yeah, we have to go past.
And Built by Gamers.
Built by Gamers, Andbox. We had to beat Sonics like a couple like last week. Just absolute studs just to get to the final boss. But yeah, even when Sentinels like loses, it's like they're always on the Sunday games. You always see them on Sundays, and it's like they have something figured out. They could drop a few games, still make it to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the hardest I've ever worked to be a TSM fan.
Yeah.
Now I feel like, what am I? Treat me like I'm a fan of Dignitas? Ugh.
Yeah. I have to just show up and like meme because that's the only thing we got going for us right now. It's just memes.
Yeah, Dignitas fans exist on memes and prescriptions for Valium.
Yeah, I don't want to get to that point. I don't want to become Dignitas. Before we move on from the Valorant tournament, something I want to touch on is TSM Cutler's kind of tournament performance.
Are you down on him? You don't think he performed very well?
I know kill death isn't everything in Valorant, obviously. But at some point, look, it has to be something.
Hold on. As a fellow old man, I'm going to defend Cutler here. I think he provides an important role to the team, which is, sort of the patriarch, sort of the father figure. Look, somebody has to be the oldest on the team, and Cutler, he does an important thing where he plays the role of the oldest guy on the team. He makes everybody else feel good. Everybody else, no matter how bad of a game they're having, they can take a look at the scoreboard and say, well, at least I'm not Cutler. And that helps them keep going. And I think you need that guy. With Cutler on the team, you always know, well, I'm not the bottom of the scoreboard.
There is some truth to that. I know you are a fellow bottom of the scoreboard representative.
We prefer the term anchors.
Play games with you. The team anchor. But on your old man point, we got Hayes, who's 31, Cutler's 32. So we're good for old men. Like we definitely have one too many. Also,
no, I think it's cute that they like to hang out. It's either this or going golfing outside the senior citizens home.
Sometimes players play better to the eye versus their stats. But the only plays that really got me excited this weekend from Cutler is when he was still alive to pick up Wardell's op. If Wardell died early on, he was essentially the team equipment manager. And
well, you're saying that's like as if every professional team doesn't have a good equipment manager. That guy gets paid. Look, I happen to know the Yankees equipment manager gets paid $120,000 a year, and you know why? Because he's a valuable member of the team. Nobody manages equipment like this guy. He's like Tiger Woods' caddy. Tiger Woods has had the same caddy for 10 years. Maybe Wardell is to Cutler as Tiger Woods is to his caddy.
Do you think he tells Wardell what to buy, like a caddy tells him what kind of...
Yes, sir. I think I'd recommend the Stinger here.
Yes, the third round op is appropriate. I will make sure to pick it up for you after you celebrate and throw it down.
He actually, you know what? You're right. He does have an easy job where Wardell's like, what should I buy? And he just goes, I think you should buy the op.
Who should I play? Jet?
Yeah. I think Cutler has a skill that's very important, especially in solo queue, which is knowing how to get carried. Okay? Cutler is a legendary player at getting carried. All right? Well, seriously, he's so good at getting carried. He's the lightest member of I bet if we played with Cutler, even we could carry him.
You think he's carryable in silver or whatever?
Absolutely. I bet if I had Cutler on my team in silver, I bet we would win every game because he's so easy to carry.
I think he'd pick up the op too. But yeah, it seemed like this tournament brought out almost a definitive weakness in TSM. It was kind of hard before because it just felt like something wasn't clicking, but he just clearly is underperforming. I don't know if he's a bad player, but something's just not working out. Maybe some blame towards the coach for not utilizing him correctly. But all he brings to the table is picking up ops, and he at least knows Astra's abilities, which is probably more than the other members of TSM. So
look, I'm telling you now, Wardell does not know what Astra does.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this Valorant tournament, at least. But I am going to touch on some esports news that's not directly related to TSM. There's a little connection that I want to talk about with some CSGO history. We don't normally cover esports news, and we probably won't be covering too much esports news in the future. But the big thing is that a CSGO player named Device, he was let go of his longtime team Astralis for a team called Ninjas in Pajamas. The only reason why I really bring this up here is I do recognize that name. I'm not big into the CSGO scene. I'm not too well versed on it. But I do recognize that because in 2015, TSM actually had a CSGO team that they signed from Dignitas that contained Device. So I started looking into it a little bit. And it turns out this team was filled with superstars. But imagine if they kept this team. They have a guy like Device, who I looked into it. He won several majors, 4 majors, I believe. Dupree, he won 4 majors as well. Kerrigan, who is super well known in the community.
Oh, that's a StarCraft reference. I hardly ever get to bring up StarCraft, but that's a StarCraft reference.
God, I hope we edit that out.
That what are they gonna? You're afraid they're gonna find out we're nerds?
Yeah, so they have like these big names that if they kept them, like it would be kind of a crazy team. Then I kept digging more about TSM and CSGO, and something that's interesting is they then signed another team the following year, kind of like a month or two later, of North American players. Looking at the players they signed, it would be an all-star Valorant lineup. So the TSM NA CSGO team kind of fell apart after a year, and they fell apart in kind of an ugly way. One of the representatives signed this open letter to Professional Esports Association, kind of a pro player document, and TSM didn't like that, so they reached out to him, and they just got in a disagreement, and the rest of the team decided to follow that player after he was released, and that ended TSM and CSGO. The interesting thing is, when I'm kind of reading about all the CSGO stuff, it's crazy to see all these names that pop up that are very successful in Valorant now. We got Shazam that was on our team at one point, Automatic who was on T1 Valorant that was on our team, Sick who's part of Sentinels, Vice, Relics. So it's pretty crazy to see all the
giving up a team like that over something as dumb as money. No, but seriously, I think it's important to say, like, we're TSM fans, but we're TSM fans because of the players, and we support them, not the organization.
Yeah, exactly. And this type of thing, I guess, was alarming to find. I'm sure a lot of people knew about it, but as you know, CSGO is deeply rooted in Valorant at this point. All those players come from CSGO, so I don't know if that's going to kind of hinder TSM's growth in Valorant if any of these CSGO players, have a choice, like a good one has a choice from multiple orgs. Does TSM's history ever hinder that? Who knows?
You can't blame the players here. You have to blame the organization. You have to say, TSM, you've got this problem where you have a reputation for not being very good to your players, and it's on you to fix that. You can't hope that your name is big enough. It's not enough. It's not helping you win these tournaments. You're losing these tournaments, in fact, in somewhat spectacular fashion. You're getting booty blasted by Anbox. Something is wrong here, guys. So my open advice, go ahead and take this if you want, TSM, is make it right. Treat your players the way they deserve to be treated.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just not a good look.
We want to see TSM win, and if that means, paying your players what they deserve, or helping them some other way that they need, like, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, and TSM was always known as the organization to take care of its players, so this was kind of a shocking part of our history here, and now it may affect us into a big growing esport. But I think this kind of leads right up to our hot take here.
Oh, is it time for hot takes?
I believe so. Hot
takes! Should I, for the previous segment, should we call it Dave's Deep Dives? How about that? We'll go Dave's Deep Dives.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Dave's Deep Dives. What's your hot take, Dave?
I don't think TSM is really invested in Valorant. I don't think they're fully in it right now.
Now, what do you mean? You mean the organization, not the players?
Yep, absolutely the organization. Talking about how I feel TSM is currently handling Valorant. I just don't think they're fully invested.
Now, what makes you say that?
Well, there's a few things. One major thing is, and I kind of brought it up last week, the lack of kind of a roster change. We did bring in Brax, we tried him out, and that's fine. I'm not saying that Brax is the answer. I'm not saying just switch Brax with somebody else or whatever. Mm-hmm. But all those teams that are kind of in our spot or similar, like we talked about Andbox, NRG is another good example, I think, that are kind of looking in very close to being like a top tier team. They've made some big, bold roster changes. Even teams above us, like 100 Thieves, made very big roster changes, like bringing on Ethan. NRG brought, on Android. They got rid of Shanks.
Shanks, come on the podcast.
Andbox is the team that dropped Android. But anyway, even IMT made a roster change, and they're still kicking our ass. Why is a team that is now eliminated from this Masters tournament, how is saying that this was our best performance or it looked like our best performance in Valorant, which it is in terms of the start of this Challengers and everything like that, like a team that's invested in it would make a change way sooner. Like, do something aggressive.
I see what you're saying, but I think that's not how TSM operates as an org. Now, I agree that there is definitely maybe a need for these roster changes, but I think because of the way TSM sort of does business, they are going to be a little slower on the draw than a lot of these other organizations. They put a lot of stock, I think, into personalities and sort of like big flashy names like Wardell, like Bjergsen, and they're very hesitant to make changes to their roster, I think, because they want fans to become accustomed to a roster and to be personally invested in the players themselves. And I think that is one of the reasons that TSM was originally successful as an esports organization. It's not a new set of random screen names every week. It's like the same set of guys that you grow to like over time. So I think this is just a continuation of their sort of, I guess, business model and the way that they've been doing it for a while. And I don't think that's a bad decision, but I do see how in the short run, it certainly can screw up your chances of winning these big tournaments.
Right. And Valorant isn't really, it's a brand new esport. You don't need to buy into franchising like you do League and spend all these millions of dollars just be in the league. So it's pretty much free entry. So they're building up all the money.
You mean the slimy boogermen didn't spend, $8 million of venture capital money to get into Masters?
What big company do you think would sponsor Slimy Boogerman?
It's got Elon Musk written all over it. Some meme team like that.
Yeah. They show up to each event in Teslas.
Yeah. They show up in a rocket, then it explodes.
Yeah, their gaming facility is on Mars. But yeah, I mean, it's free to go in, right? And they know that Wardell's popular streamer, Sabros is, pretty popular or whatever. So it's like, it's not really costing them anything just to kind of exist. They have those fans, but they're just not playing super well. They're playing like well enough to draw in some viewers to be like, let's check out TSM. But now it's not like, let's check out TSM. And if they're going to do well, it's let's check out TSM and
watch them lose.
Yeah, exactly.
You have this pit in your stomach. Oh God, there's a TSM game. I'm going to watch them get beat by somebody called like the Mud Thumpers.
Yeah. Like one of the guys in the Open Invitational, his name is Sexhaver. Like we already know Sexhaver would destroy TSM. But
if you're getting styled on by Sexhaver, you got to make some changes here, guys. You got to take Sexhaver out of the picture.
But it's like,
this is a Christian organization.
But it's like these other big, like successful Valorant teams. Obviously, not all roster changes are great, but like think about T1, they're getting better. They're constantly changing. They're not really there yet, but they started so far behind. I thought they were really bad, but they're just getting better. Mm-hmm. Like 100 Thieves seemed very close knit, and they were successful, and they still made a roster change, and now they look somehow even better. But TSM's at a point, it's like, well, now all your fans have to wait, almost 2 months or something for another game because you're getting stomped by teams that really don't have the pull that you guys have, but you just don't have the effort to really recruit or make changes like that. Even when there was a change available with Brax, it's like they didn't even commit to it.
I hope for the sake of Valorant that you're wrong and that TSM is serious about it, because I think without TSM, any sport becomes endangered, I'll say. I think TSM is a big name that helps lend some gravitas to an esport. And if TSM suddenly drops out of Valorant, I would be worried for the future of the competitive scene for that game.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, every org is in it right now, but it's because it's a very popular game, well run by Riot, and I'm pretty sure it's free entry. I don't really know the details, but I mean,
it can't be that much. How much walking around money does Slimy Boogerman have?
Yeah. So it's easy for orgs to enter, so like everybody just, it's free fans almost. If it does ever cut off to be franchising or pay to enter, I don't want TSM just to be pulled in because of their name. I want them to be pulled in because they're a force in the game. And it doesn't feel like they're trying to be a force in this game right now. It just feels like they're collecting those free fans. This was like the first big esport that I noticed where it just feels like TSM isn't fully invested in trying to be a force.
Well, Dave, that was a good hot take. My hot take is going to seem stupid in comparison, I have a feeling.
Oh, God, let's hear it.
My hot take is this. Buff the Bucky.
Oh, God.
It sucks right now. More like the sucky. Everybody wants to see it back. Come on. Buff the Bucky. Do it. Buff the Bucky.
Oh, God, hell no.
Here's my reasoning. You have to nerf the Stinger, which was the pre-Bucky OP budget weapon. The Stinger is boring. It's long range. It's short range. It kills people real fast, etc. The Bucky is fun. The Bucky, it's a shotgun. You have to be close range. You get one shot, one opportunity to lose yourself in the music, the moment. If you miss, you die. It's very exciting. It's such a cheesy weapon, and I love watching pros play with cheese.
You know what? I do somewhat agree with you, but probably because it's not that much of a problem in Silver. Like, if I get capped by some of the Bucky, I'm never really mad. I'm just like, kind of laugh a little bit. But the Bucky before was like, I'll spend this 900 credits or whatever it is just to like run out to a site and like blast a guy like halfway across the site for no reason.
Splatter some guy across the opposite wall.
Yeah. And it's like, well, that was not a big investment to get.
Yeah, but okay, let me put it this way. Video games should be fun, and the Bucky is fun. Don't take that away from me.
Hey, I was a fan of the Frenzy meta. I thought the Frenzy was such a fun gun.
Compared to the Bucky, no way. You get that big chunky boom.
That's true.
The Frenzy's it's like a goat. It's so lame. Ugh.
I'm just waiting for the Shorty meta.
It's coming.
Yeah, I sense it.
Once they give the Shorty a larger clip, once you get like 60 or 70 shots in a Shorty, it's over.
Just like an Odin-sized clip in a Shorty.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine what that would sound like? That would be excellent.
Well, I do think your hot take was a little bit more insightful, so I'm glad we squeaked it in there.
Definitely the more important of the two hot takes.
Honestly, we should just edit the other hot take out.
Yeah, I'll get rid of it. Don't worry.
Honestly, this whole podcast should just be that Bucky segment, and that's it.
Oh my God, that's what we should name our podcast. The Bucky Cast.
The Bucky Cast?
Yeah.
Well, what happens if they like buff the Bucky?
Well, that's how they can shut us up.
Yeah, that's our last episode.
We'll stop making podcasts when they buff the Bucky.
But yeah, that was a really good, super insightful hot take, Ryan. I appreciate that one.
So what's upcoming this week, Dave?
So upcoming this week is, well, I guess, happening right now, like I said, that female Valorant tournament. We'll cover that more next week. Also next week, the Esports Arena Weekly, again for Apex Legends team. They'll be playing on Wednesday, or I guess they'll be playing tomorrow. So we're going to cover that next week. Super important, though, tonight, eNASCAR, Nick Odinger.
eNASCAR.
He will be racing on the round 7. I don't know what track it is. I think it's like Kansas or something like that. Yeah, I think that's the biggest event. There's really kind of like a little lull before that big R6 tournament that we'll cover next week.
So what's your prediction? Is Nick Odinger going to win?
I fear for the worst. I think he's going to DNF. I don't know if his pit crew really has it with him this week. So I just don't think he has the right equipment right now.
Nick Odinger will die on the track tonight.
Yeah, they're going to make him create a new character mid-race.
All right, well, I think, is that it for the podcast this week, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, well, where can they find us if for some reason if you're like a guy with big dents in your head and you want to hear more of us, where can they find us, Dave?
Again, until maybe some name changing happens. For right now, we are the TSM Talk on Twitter, so at the TSM Talk. And
soon to be Johnny Longschlong.
Yeah. Don't type that in. We're also the TSM Talk on YouTube. We're going to post this episode to YouTube. We're going to post it on Reddit on r/TeamSoloMid. And we'll have some additional links kind of in our YouTube description. Like, I believe we had it on SoundCloud and everything like that. But yeah, that's where you can find us.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep, thank you.